Wherever you want to talk sports.
Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man. How the heck are you? It is the Monty Show. Thank God it's Friday, March 4th, 2020, whatever it is. Jake, how are you, buddy?
I'm just fine today. How are you?
It's that Friday where you're not in a good mood.
Yeah, I'm ready for work to be done. Ready. I'm good.
You ready for the weekend?
Yeah, I'm good.
We'll have a brand new segment for you coming up after you hit subscribe on this channel, after you follow us on social media. Hit me on Twitter, The Monty Show, M-O-N-T-Y, The Monty Show. On Instagram, on TikTok, it's all The Monty Show, M-O-N-T-Y, The Monty Show. And hey, a quick shout out to everybody who listens on Spotify. Thank you for reaching out yesterday. Spotify was broken stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know why. And this is going to be part of my pet peeves coming up in the new segment. Every Friday, we're going to give you a chance to just complain about what's wrong in your life. Yesterday, it was Spotify. Just didn't upload the new show. Like, I send it out on an RSS feed, which means it's one feed that uploads to every podcast portal.
Yeah.
And we've been doing huge numbers on Spotify.
Right.
And all of a sudden yesterday, they just were like, oh, yeah, your RSS provider blocked us. So I reached out to my RSS provider, who is SoundCloud. Like, the only thing we do with SoundCloud is they give us an RSS feed. They're like, no, we don't block Spotify. I reached back out to Spotify. They're like, oh, yeah, they blocked us. Then at like 3 a.m, I got a notice on my phone. Hey, a new edition of The Monty Show's available on Spotify.
Take that, you clap-having Jezebel!
Pricks. So it looks like the problem is solved on Spotify.
And the internet works. Holy cow.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too. $800 later. The internet works. We'll talk about all that, but first let's start with a little bit of breaking Utah Jazz news this morning. And we've been talking a lot about the construction of this team and the roster. And we knew that the Jazz were very active at the NBA trade deadline. But from what our sources are telling us now, the New York Knicks and the Utah Jazz actually had many conversations, several in the days leading up to the NBA trade deadline, involving Donovan Mitchell, to which every phone call ended, yes, sorry, man, Donovan's not available. The Knicks were pursuing Donovan Mitchell, calling the Utah Jazz leading up to the deadline, trying to make a deal happen for Donovan Mitchell, to which the Jazz summarily dismissed those requests.
Yeah.
And I guess, Jake, I'm not really that surprised, but when you hear that, I mean, I'm not saying that it was close, because it was not close. The Jazz didn't even entertain the conversation from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But when you hear that, what you begin to understand is that it is a real possibility that Donovan Mitchell winds up being a New York Knick.
Yeah, I think, there's this narrative that goes around that, he's from New York and he wants to play in a major market. And, we've heard the rumblings and the rumors and the conversations. But, I think right now Don, is focused on being a Jazz man, and I think that Don is not in a place where he's asked for a trade or that's even been a thing, even though there have been a lot of people, who have been saying that. And I think that, will he be a Knick at some point before his NBA career is over? Yeah, probably. I would, if I was a betting man, I'd put money on that. I do think that he'll be a Knick before his NBA career is over. But right now, I think his sole focus is on winning a championship with the Jazz. Now, will that happen? Probably not, in my opinion, but we'll see. It remains to be seen. So, am I surprised that the Knicks came calling? No. Am I surprised that any team would call another team for their best player? Not at all. Right? I mean, that's how big trades get done. That's how the blockbuster deal happens. That's how three-way deals happen. So I'm not surprised that the Knicks called, and I'm not surprised that the Jazz said no. That it's not even a talking point. It's not a conversation. We're not doing that. So, yeah, not surprised. However, I do think if you're a Jazz fan, you need to understand that this conversation can change in a heartbeat. All it takes is Don saying, yeah, look, I want to be out and I want to go and play for the Knicks. And now all of a sudden that conversation has shifted. So that's why players in the NBA have the control, not teams. Players ultimately will decide where they play. Look no further than the Ben Simmons situation, right? So that's what I think you just have to be careful of with this thing with Don.
Yeah, and I want to make this very clear. I have said this repeatedly. This is going on 6 weeks since we first reported. The Jazz and Donovan Mitchell have talked about this exact scenario multiple times. The Utah Jazz have been very clear with Donovan Mitchell directly to him. They are building around him. He is their guy. They are going to spare no expense to build a championship caliber ball club around Donovan Mitchell. They are going to put him in a position to win multiple championships, which is what Donovan Mitchell has said he wants. But I also understand that Donovan Mitchell has never demanded a trade from the Jazz. He has never said, I'd like to play somewhere else. He has never said, I want to be a New York Knick right now, make it happen. Don's never said that. What he said is, I don't want to waste the best years of my career losing. I don't want to be in a position where there is no championship in sight.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell has enough money for the rest of his life, and he understands that going forward, he will continue to make a significant amount of money in the NBA.
Facts.
Donovan Mitchell wants to win rings, and he wants multiple rings. And if he doesn't see that happening in Utah, that's when I think things will dramatically change. But as it stands right now, the Jazz have told Donovan Mitchell, you're our guy. We're going to spare no expense and no effort to build a championship caliber club around you. The New York Knicks absolutely should call the Utah Jazz on Donovan Mitchell. Why would they not?
Yeah.
They would be derelict if they did not. The Jazz should absolutely do exactly what they did at this point and say, no, we're not trading Donovan Mitchell, which is exactly what they did. If you look at the Knicks situation, and we've talked about this on this show as well, they have Leon Rose, who used to represent Donovan Mitchell as his agent. He is in their front office. They have Johnny Bryant, the former Utah assistant coach, on their bench, in their organization. They have an infrastructure that is familiar with Donovan Mitchell. By the way, Donovan Mitchell's a New Yorker. His dad works for the Mets. This is nothing new. This is not shocking. What I would say is that this summer, again, remains incredibly important for the Utah Jazz. They have to remake this roster. I think they know that they need to remake this roster. They've effectively told Donovan Mitchell, we are going to remake this roster.
Yeah.
And I also think, Jake, and this is what we talked about at the deadline, I think that when you look at the deals that were out there for the Jazz to make, there were very few deals. They, in my opinion, could not have made a transformative deal at the deadline. And I think the real sticking point into why the Jazz were not involved in a blockbuster is Bradley Beal in Washington. Mm-hmm. And it is as simple as Bradley Beal is going to get a Supermax extension from the Wizards this summer. If he had been traded, that option likely goes away. So is there a sign and trade to be had for Bradley Beal? Sure, maybe there is. Is he going to sign with Washington? On some level, he is. There's no question about that.
Right.
But what I will say is that doesn't mean he'll be there. He will be in Washington. But to get the money that he wants and that he's eligible to make when he opts out of his deal and goes to free agency this summer, Beal has to do that deal with Washington.
Right.
And I think that is why he hasn't been traded to this point. I think that is why you see that the Washingtons, the Bostons, the blockbuster trades that were out there in the Eastern Conference did not happen because they simply, the guys are not ready at this point in time. The summer is when you can make those big deals happen. When free agency opens, sign-in trades can happen, major contracts can be moved, which they cannot be moved at the deadline. It is far more difficult to trade a max player at the deadline than it is in the summer. Mm-hmm. But I think this summer now, I don't think there's any doubt that the Utah Jazz will be one of the most active franchises this summer.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's shaping up to be. And I think that, if you're the Utah Jazz, you gotta hit this summer. You gotta really find a way to get this team moving forward this summer. And hey, maybe they make a deep playoff run this year. Who knows? I don't know. But what I am saying is this is not a championship caliber team. We're gonna get to who Vegas is saying is the favorite to win the NBA title. But what I'm telling you is it's not just us saying that there are a bunch of teams better than the Jazz right now. And I think that, at the end of the day for this team, you gotta get more athletic and you gotta get more versatile with the guys you have on the floor. That's the biggest thing that stands out to me, and I don't think that I don't think it's beyond this front office to trade Rudy Gobert. I don't. It's just my opinion. I don't have anything to go off of, but I don't think it's beyond them. I think that it just is a deal that has to happen in the summer, And if that happens, if they were to trade Rudy Gobert, that would be a clear signal to Donovan Mitchell that they're changing the narrative of this team, and they're going to change how we play basketball in Utah. And I think if you trade Rudy, you're probably getting a new head coach. You're probably getting basically a fresh start.
And I think that's one of the most controversial topics with Jazz fans. I think Quinn Snyder is one of the most loved and hated guys in this town because there's a lot of people frustrated with the way he runs his player rotations. There's a lot of people frustrated with the way that this team plays. There's a lot of veterans in that locker room. And again, this is not new. We've reported this for over a month. There is frustration amongst the veterans on this team that there is no accountability, essentially. There is a lack of accountability. We've heard repeatedly that, Donovan Mitchell, as we told you, and Rudy Gobert are not friends. They're not close. And there has been significant friction between those two. I don't think that means that they can't coexist in a locker room. But I will again go back to the point that Rudy Gobert is not a championship caliber player in today's NBA world.
Right.
And I understand he's an elite defensive player. I understand he's really important to the Utah Jazz. And you could make the argument, as many do, that he is currently, as this roster is constructed, their most important player. But there's no doubt Donovan Mitchell's the best player the Jazz have. And if I'm the Utah Jazz, Jake, I do exactly what they're doing, and I go all in on Don.
Yeah.
And if I can trade Rudy's contract, I trade it.
Yeah, and I think that, if you go all in on Don, I think that does a couple of things. Number one, I think it kind of elongates Donovan Mitchell in a Jazz uniform. If you send that clear message and that message is backed up through actions, you're gonna get a good positive vibe from Donovan Mitchell, as you would with any player of his caliber. Now, I think the challenge for the Jazz is, okay, great, let's trade Rudy, but what does the team look like if we do that? What are we going to go after? What is our goal when we say, hey, we're going to build around Don? Okay, great in concept, but what does that actually look like? How does that actually pan out on the floor? And that's why I think this is such a tough thing to talk about at this time in the year, because you don't know who's available. You don't know what your options really are. And that's why the summer is going to be fascinating, because once the season's over, like once you're eliminated from the postseason, and it's just a couple of teams left playing for the NBA championship, you're basically waiting for the finals to end, but you're having conversations, you're strategizing, you're looking at who potentially would be available, and then you have to get after it. And that's where I think this whole Danny Ainge, dynamic comes in. That's where I think the D Wade, dynamic could potentially come in, where, you want Danny Ainge to be, kind of scoping out the landscape and seeing who's available. And if he needs to utilize D Wade and his player relations, he's going to do that, and that's why I think this front office could be pretty successful building a championship team in Utah. I think they have the right personnel in the front office. I think they're pragmatic and they're real logical in their thinking. And while, yes, I was disappointed by the trade deadline, as you just said, I don't think they had a lot of moves that they could go and make, So I think naturally it was going to feel underwhelming. But at the end of the day, again, when you get to the summer and this season's over, I would not be surprised by some pretty major things going down.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be one of the busiest summers that we've ever seen in the NBA. And I think when you look at some of the names, I mean, the Lakers last night got humiliated
again
by the Clippers. And obviously they both play at crypto, but I mean, the Lakers got humiliated. That roster is going to be dramatically transformed. And I can't believe that there is not major regret in that Laker front office that they did not make that Russell Westbrook to Houston trade.
Yeah.
I look at Damian Lillard. I think he is a prime candidate to be traded out of Portland. I look at De'Aaron Fox. I look at everybody in the Western Conference is open for business. I think the Phoenix Suns realize that window is awfully small for them, and they are going to have to figure out what to do with Chris Paul and how much longer he's a guy. The Dallas Mavericks probably know they're outgunned. What is Jamal Murray going to be like? There's all these questions up and down the Western Conference.
Yeah.
And I can't believe a team like Golden State sits tight with Wiseman and Kuminga. There's too much value there, and they're in a position where, hey, is Andrew Wiggins a long-term fit now? Is Klay Thompson the same guy?
Yeah.
Just those storylines alone. And then you add the Jazz into that, and you say to yourself, well, this is a team that's good, not great.
Yep.
This is a team that, and we're going to talk about championship odds.
Yep.
The sports books in Vegas believe that there are 7 teams in the NBA better than the Utah Jazz, which means you're not close to winning a championship. I can point to the Eastern Conference, the Knicks, Washington. There's a lot of people who think the Bulls are going to go and get another superstar. You can go up and down the standings. There are deals to be made.
Yeah.
How intact are the Brooklyn Nets? If they don't make the playoffs, because your boy came back last night and was sensational.
Yeah.
They lost to the Heat without Jimmy Butler.
Yep.
Which is, in Brooklyn, by the way, is incredibly disappointing.
Yeah.
This team spends a ton of money. I don't know what happens with Bradley Beal. But I'm telling you, there is going to be major movement this summer in the NBA. And I think the Jazz have a chance to be at the epicenter of that.
Yeah, there's a ton of opportunity, and that's what you need. That's what you need to build a special team. You need, at a minimum, opportunity. Now, obviously, it's what you make of that opportunity, but at a minimum, you got to at least have players who are available and teams who are willing to talk. And so when I hear this whole, again, where the conversation started, hey, the Knicks at the deadline had called the Jazz on Donovan Mitchell, I'm not surprised by that because the Knicks understand the Donovan Mitchell dynamic and his relations and ties to the city. Like it doesn't surprise me that you would call, but I also am a little surprised that the Jazz weren't out. I know we heard that they were on the phones and calling and doing things. We did hear that, but I guess I just expected them to do more with Joe Ingles. So I hope that this summer they are very aggressive and they choose action over stagnation. That's what I hope. I hope that they are out there and doing things.
I think the Joe Ingles trade was disappointing. They got a ton of luxury tax relief out of it. I get that. But I agree with you. I actually think this is a make or break summer. This summer will determine Donovan Mitchell's long-term viability as a Jazz man. If you go and make a Rudy Gobert deal this summer, which I think is, I'd put it at 55-45, they move him. And I've talked to a lot of people about this, and I just don't believe that Don and Rudy are the core of a championship caliber team.
No, because the belief isn't there both ways, right? The Donovan, and again, my opinion could be wrong, but we watch the Jazz every single night. We're plugged into this team based on what we've heard and what I see. I don't believe that Donovan Mitchell believes in Rudy Gobert as a number 2 alpha dog, if you will. Because if he did, he would feed him more. He would work him more. He would work with him on the floor more, but he doesn't. So I just don't think that Donovan Mitchell believes in him. And yeah, when you talk about building around Donovan Mitchell, put guys around him that he believes in. Put guys around him that he wants to pass the ball to, Like how long did it take to get Don to start moving the ball on the drive? Well, we're seeing it now, but it took a long time. So I would be curious to see how Don's game evolves if you put good, legitimate talent around him that can really score on their own, because you don't have that right now.
Yeah, and I think that what's interesting is that you have the opportunity to really remake this club. I mean, you can do almost anything you want to do. It just depends on what you think you have. And from what we've understood for months now, Danny Ainge fully is aware that he doesn't have what it takes to win.
Yeah.
He knows that. And I think that right now you're dealing with the one big elephant in the room, and that is twofold. One, you have a guy in Rudy Gobert who is a couple of things. Not popular with his teammates, because also from what I understand, he is not a guy in Rudy Gobert that takes a lot of self-accountability, right? And so there's a lot of frustration with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side of the coin is he's not a guy that can play at a fast pace in the NBA and be effective either defensively or offensively. We saw that, very clearly in the Houston game. But on the regular, when teams go fast against the Jazz, it limits Rudy's ability to rim protect.
Yeah.
Because he's not able to just run rim to rim anymore. And we saw it going back to the Clippers series. We saw it several times last year. And really in the last 3 years, where a team is going to scheme Rudy Gobert, really, you'd ideally like him to be in the corner because it puts him in no man's land. It gets him away from the paint. Like if he's at the top of the key or extended, he's near the paint.
Yeah.
You want him away from the paint in the corner. So he's limited defensively in big moments. And he makes $41 million a year.
Yep.
That's a recipe for trading a guy. How that deal happens, I don't know. You coughing or something?
No, I'm saying it's rough that he's making $41 million a year.
$41 million a year.
It's rough.
You know,
there's
like,
no doubt about it. It is, all jokes aside, it's hard to swallow. It is not a good contract.
Yeah, and I think, what's interesting is just talking to an NBA guy, I think that there is a common belief that the New York Knicks are going to move on from Tom Thibodeau, which would almost be a prerequisite for any Donovan Mitchell trade.
Yeah.
Because Don is not that guy.
Yeah.
And Tom Thibodeau is a guy that is very hard to play for.
Yeah, he's an asshole.
Tom is not easy to play for. We've seen that in Minnesota. We certainly saw that in Chicago. I think we're seeing the love affair is over in New York. So the Knicks, I think, know that they need that one iconic guy. I think they believe that guy is Donovan Mitchell. I think the problem for the Knicks is the Jazz also believe that.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. Let's get your comments in here. Teddy Wayman, good morning to you. Tanner Plummer, hey, guys. Hack Podcast says, hey, guys, hey, guys.
Hey, guys. Hey, guys.
Cody Strickland says, morning, guys. Great
Hey,
day
guys.
last night for the Jazz. It was. And Garcia says, morning, Merca. Rudy Sanchez says, morning, fellas. And Garcia says, I've been saying for a couple of years now, Donovan, No D, Mitchell, and Zion, if he ever gets healthy in New York, with the next 2 to 4 years. I don't think Zion Williamson is a fit with the Knicks.
I'm not sure that he's a fit with most teams, to be honest with you.
I think that's a really tough equation.
Yeah. I don't
Like,
think
where does he fit? What does he do as a player, do you think?
Well, I mean, I think he's a transition player. I think he's a player that does really well when he can be in a motion offense where he's moving and then, you're working matchups and getting him on to smaller guys. And I think he's good at bully ball. That's what I think he is, It surprises me that, he's lost all that lift in his game, but he is dealing with a foot injury. So I don't know how long maybe that affected him or plagued him, if you will, but now they're saying that he's in a better spot and that he's improving and that, he's finally able to walk again and do full weight, full contact stuff. So we'll see. I don't know, man. Like, I think the thing for Zion is that he's not 7 feet tall. So you can't be, 300 pounds, dude. You gotta lose that weight. And I know we make a lot of jokes about, him eating too many Twinkies and I just think that he needs to lose some weight, get in shape, and his role on the floor will be expanded. Right now, I'm not so sure that he's got a particular role. I think that he's just somebody who's out there playing in the flow of the game. I don't think it's not like you can say to him, hey, dude, you're our 4 today.
Yeah.
He just is a guy.
Yeah, I think what's so interesting is there's risk in every player.
Mm-hmm.
I think from the jump, Zion Williamson was really risky, but how many general managers could have passed on that athletic ability? And I understand why they drafted him. But my question is, how quickly do the Pelicans realize they made a mistake? How quickly?
That's a tough question. I mean, if I'm them, I already think I did make a mistake, to be honest with you.
Well, you have to have thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that you can say that Zion has worked out. He hasn't. I mean, what has he done for you? Pretty much nothing. So,
and you know what? I think they rectified their mistake with Lonzo Ball pretty quickly. And the Bulls are now paying that price because Lonzo just does not stay healthy.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who'd make the case that the Anthony Davis trade was real interesting if you're the Pelicans, but
I think they won that trade. Though.
Yeah.
But listen, the Lakers won a championship.
Yeah.
So let's not. And that's one of the interesting things is I think a lot of people forget that the Anthony Davis trade won the Lakers a championship.
Yeah. So, I mean, they technically won the trade, but now they're terrible, so I don't know.
Well, and I also think that Anthony Davis is a big part of why they're terrible. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the guy just isn't healthy and doesn't play. But I look at Brandon Ingram. I think they turned Josh Hart into C.J. McCollum. I mean, I think they're winning. I think they continue to win that trade.
Yeah.
I think Brandon Ingram is. I mean, he is an elite player. I don't think he's ever a superstar because he's just too low key. That's not that guy.
Yeah.
But he is a guy that every team would like to
He
have
can
on
score.
their roster.
Yeah, he can score, man.
And he's long and he defends well.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know. I think that's an interesting question, probably for a different show. But my point is, when you look at what's going to happen this summer, I think Zion's one of the guys that could get moved. I absolutely do. I'm curious what a team like Charlotte's going to do this summer.
Yeah. Who's to say? Because
that team's close.
That's last year's Memphis Grizzlies team. You know, I mean, that's a team that can beat you.
That team, Miles Bridges is
Filthy. You're not trading him. Him and Melo are going to be on that team for like 5 years.
And Terry Rozier, for everything he's not, I mean, he is what you would like Jordan Clarkson to be.
Doing a job.
Doing a job.
Doing
like
a job,
scoring
bro.
consistently. Like if that guy, I don't know, man. I think it's interesting. It's an interesting conundrum. I disagree with you on no D, Donovan Mitchell and Garcia, and I know that's your thing. Tanner Plummer says this is effing America.
Mm-hmm.
James Knight, I don't know what happened to your comment.
This is fucking America.
James deleted his comment that a bunch of people commented on. Q Sam says good morning. Eric C says morning, guys. Happy Friday. Amen to that.
Yeah.
Tanner says as a Jazz fan, it's nice to hear Don wants to stay in Utah. I don't know that Don wants to stay in Utah.
We didn't say that.
What I'm telling you is that Donovan hasn't demanded a trade yet.
Which is a big difference.
I think that he sees that this is his team. I mean, that's the conversation that Jazz fans can't get away from. This is Donovan Mitchell's club. This is his team.
Yeah.
The Utah Jazz are Donovan Mitchell's team.
Yeah.
If he goes to, and the bigger question is, we all chase what's green, right? Like on the other side of the fence, the grass is always greener. It looks more watered. It's got beautiful, mower stripes in it and shit. But here's the question. You hop the fence and all of a sudden you see all the dandelions and brown spots. What happens when you get to New York? Because you're not certainly going to win a championship as a Knick if it's the Knicks as they've always been. Now, with the change in that front office and the structural differences, and it would seem that Jimmy Dolan's kind of more out of the way and Leon Rose is more running things.
Yeah.
Okay. There's some things to talk about there. But are you assured if you go to New York, you're going to win a title?
No, of course not.
And my guess is if any trade happened, it would be a multi-team deal. This would have to be 3 teams, 4 teams.
Yeah, no doubt.
Julius Randle would certainly have to be in that deal. I mean, right? I don't know how do you make that trade?
Yeah.
And keep Julius Randle if you're the Knicks, just based on salary alone.
I mean, listen, every team involved in that trade is making a choice to change the direction of their franchise. That's what that trade's all about. You're making a choice to move on from what you had and start fresh with someone new and see what that looks like. So, I think Julius would have to be involved. I don't know who the 3rd and 4th teams would be, but they would have to be involved.
I would think that you would have to think that the Celtics are going to be busy this summer.
Yep.
The Jazz and Celtics tried to make a Marcus Smart deal. The Jazz couldn't get it done.
Mm-hmm.
I look at De'Aaron Fox. That's a guy that I know the Knicks have liked for a long time.
Yep.
As Sacramento get pulled into that, they're all into making the playoffs this year. I get that, which is again why they're going to make deals in the summer. De'Aaron Fox and Harrison Barnes have value around this league. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see there. I mean, are you telling me that you're going to trade De'Aaron Fox after trading Tyrese Halliburton? I don't know.
I'd be shocked.
But
they did the Halliburton deal, so who are we talking about?
And they are the Sacramento Kings. But you're absolutely calling them. Are you not calling about Wiseman and Kuminga from Golden State?
Absolutely. You
Hell
are.
yes,
I
am.
don't think they're going to trade Kuminga. I think they will trade Wiseman.
I know, again, I just keep saying it. Kuminga's a stud. The guy.
Keep it real.
I don't know how long I'll say it for.
Bucket getter, dude.
Until you come around on Kuminga, that kid is a stud.
You're a casual.
I'm telling you, it can happen. James Knight says Donovan Mitchell needs to turn the ball over less if he wants to not waste his years. I think you're seeing that. I think that's a great point, James. I think you're seeing that now because the turnovers for Don have historically been, hey, let me drive into the paint, try to get some crazy layup or dunk, and it turns into a turnover. The other night in Houston, when he was falling down and somehow kicked that ball to Conley in the corner, that's usually a turnover. Yeah. But I think when he gets into the paint, now he's thinking more kick than score.
Yeah, I still have to agree with James that he turns the ball over more than he should.
I would agree with that too.
I think the other night in Houston he did make that play, but then there were like 3 or 4 other ones where he's in the paint and he just simply turns it over.
The play where he drives deep and then tries to throw it back out top, that's always a turnover.
It's a high risk play, because once you're caught in the air, it's over. I mean, you're either going to be able to make that pass or you're not, and if you're not, it's probably a turnover. So. I tend to this is the conversation around developing the mid-range game. Everyone thinks the mid-range game means, well, can he make a shot from the elbow? Yes, he can make a shot from the elbow, but what I'm talking about is controlling the game in the mid-range, controlling the pace with which the defense moves, controlling where the ball goes,
Mid-range is not just scoring.
Yeah.
Mid-range, and I think a lot of people don't understand, that mid-range is passing out of the paint. Mid-range is dribbling through the paint. Continuing through, like mid-range is just, as you said, controlling the pace and the flow of the game. Now, when you look at the best mid-range players in the game, the Bookers, the DeRozans, the Chris Pauls, those guys all have 5 spots on the floor where if you put them in that spot, it's going in the hole.
Durant last night.
Kevin Durant last night, lethal in the mid-range, right? That's part of it. But what you see with the best players in the game, the reason Ja Morant isn't the best point guard in the game yet is he's still dunking instead of passing.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it probably takes a major injury to change that. But I just think Donovan Mitchell's at the cusp of really being spectacular.
Cold-blooded, clean, methodical, and thorough.
I'm all in on Don, and I know a lot of people disagree with me on this. I get a lot of heat for this on YouTube and Twitter, but he's a special talent. Donovan Mitchell's a generational talent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this summer, he is going to work his ass off on the mid-range. He needs footwork, and he needs mid-range ability to score the mid-range jumper. Yeah. He can already pass it. And when you have that ability to Euro in the paint, and when you have the ability to step through in the paint, which he does, now adding a mid-range jumper from anywhere inside the arc just makes you a killer.
Yeah.
And when he adds that piece to his game, Donovan Mitchell becomes, I mean, he's probably top 10, top 7. If he adds that to his game. Now, the other part of this is your guy, Kevin Durant, is also a really good defender just because he wakes up and his arms are 80 feet long.
I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am.
Will Don ever be an elite defender? Probably not, because as you always say, he's a little guy. He's undersized.
I just think the size thing, everyone's like, oh, well, the size thing doesn't matter. Well, actually, it does matter in certain situations.
Yes.
It does matter. I mean, it matters in terms of the matchup he's got. It matters in terms of, what shots he can get and what shots he can't get. Last night, Kevin Durant, the Heat rolled out a zone defense for like 5-6 possessions in a row. And Kevin Durant goes right to the elbow in the middle of the zone. They give him the ball, and he just turns around and shoots over the defense, mainly because he's 6'11", right? So when you're 6'11", you obviously have advantages that a 6-footer does not have.
But what else did he do that I loved? He set up LaMarcus Aldridge for those little top-of-the-key shots.
Yeah.
Which, that's what makes Kevin Durant elite. I think Kevin wants to score every time, but he knows getting other people involved does that. Look at the play that Seth Curry missed that 3.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant got him open without ever having touching the ball. Kevin Durant never touched the ball on that possession, but because he ran through the paint, stayed out at the top of the key, took a double team, they were able to move in reverse and get it back to Seth. Now he missed the 3, but Kevin Durant allowed that to happen.
Yeah.
So I don't know that Don will ever be at that level. In fact, nobody will ever be at Kevin Durant's level. I truly think for his age group. Yeah, for his age group, Kevin Durant's the best player that this generation's seen. I don't put him in the same generation as LeBron. I think LeBron is his best. I think I would take Kevin Durant over Steph. I mean, I would take Kevin Durant over Giannis. I don't know anybody I would take over Kevin Durant.
Yeah. He's the best player in the league right now.
I hate that he's been hurt so much lately, but when you rehab an Achilles like that, the knee injury is certain
But
to
I
come.
also think a lot of teams are taking their time with the rehab. I mean, there's just no reason for them to rush him back,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, as long as you get guys back, this is what Denver's doing with Jamal Murray. I mean, as long as you get him back. Michael Porter, whatever. Mr. Scientific Genius.
Right.
Anyway, don't. No. Dude,
Mr. fucking vaccination genius scientific expert, you fucking asshole.
I sent that clip to Jake again last night. That's Michael Rappaport ripping Cole Beasley for dropping a pass. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And Michael Porter Jr. is notoriously anti-vax.
Mm-hmm.
He's no Kyrie Irving. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, here nor there. Let's see. And Garcia says, new material, possible Quinn replacements. If Don went to the Knicks, he'll just have the New York media criticize his every move, which he does not get here.
No.
By the way, real quick, because it's a pet peeve Friday on this show. Did anybody see a certain member of the Salt Lake, City Jazz media cheering on the Clippers to beat the Lakers last night? Grow up. Like, what are we doing?
It's
so petty ass.
It's petty, dude.
The fandom in this group of media members is ridiculous.
It's a joke, dude.
It's ridiculous.
It's a joke.
And Garcia says Stephen A. Smith is a damn fool. I agree. Jeremy Bolton says hi.
Hello.
No Alex Caruso smack talk, JB?
You're casual.
Mr. E says who would be a good center to replace Rudy? I mean,
A younger mobile big.
who's the best team in the NBA right now?
The Suns probably.
The Suns or
The
the
Heat?
Heat? Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, perfect example.
Defensive player, can shoot the jumper, can shoot a little turnaround jumper, and is great in the paint. Runs the
Jaren
floor.
Jackson Jr.-esque player.
Oh, my God. Did you see that block on Tatum last night?
I didn't.
Jesus. Jaren Jackson runs the entire length of the floor. This is what Rudy can't do. Jaren Jackson, from his basket, sprints the length of the floor. The Boston Celtics are on the run. Jason Tatum gets the ball. Free throw line extended right. He is up at the basket ready to dunk it. And out of nowhere, Jaren Jackson comes from behind and blocks it clean as a newborn's bottom.
I'm for real.
That was one of the best blocks of the year last night. And that guy, Bam Adebayo is the perfect example.
Facts.
He runs his ass off. He's athletic. You can give him the ball. He can score.
And he plays with the right mentality.
He understands he's not the number one on that team or the number two or the number three. He understands that he's the number one when they need him to be.
Yeah.
And it makes a huge difference. I mean, Bam Adebayo blocking Kevin Durant's shot last night is exactly what you need.
Yes.
And then Kevin Durant getting the ball right back and hitting a little jumper is exactly what you need. Like, that's the prototypical center. But if you look at the best teams in the NBA, the Golden States, they play Draymond Green, they play Kevon Looney, they play Kuminga, Wiseman.
Mm-hmm.
Young guys that can run and do multiple faceted things.
And young guys who know their role.
Pass, dish. You can't build a team around a center unless his name is Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
And how many centers have we seen in the last 5 years that can do what Joel does?
Not many.
None. Zero.
I don't even think Jokic does what Joel does from a mentality standpoint.
Jokic is a guard.
Yeah.
He's a distributor, a guard. He is a facilitator. He is a back to the basket. I get that.
Yeah.
Nobody does what
Joel.
And excuse me.
Eyes, he's the greatest to ever do it.
It's not Joel. It's Joel. Nobody does what Joel does. Joe does. LOL, Kwame Brown. Oh, whoa, comment on.
I know I did not just hear the name Kwame Brown in the comments.
Who do you think said it?
Whoever came up with that shit need to be fired.
James Knight.
God, dude, you guys are amazing. I really appreciate you. Tanner Plummer says, LOL, Kwame Brown would be a good replacement for Rudy, Mr. E. No, he wouldn't. Mr. E, Lopez, Adams, or a center by number gets you 2 or 3 bodies to fill the post. John Jackson says the Jazz must be very active this summer. Kawhi and George will be back next year, and that team will be top 3 in the West. I'm telling you, Reggie Jackson not retiring.
Yep.
It's amazing how well he's playing.
He's made money.
But dude, can I just say the Lakers are so bad.
Yeah.
They're awful.
He's a bum.
And I mean, they're getting an incredible.
It's embarrassing.
But they're getting like an incredible performance out of Malik Monk.
Yeah, but it's embarrassing how bad the Lakers are. Losing by 30 to the Clippers is
they can't defend.
It's a sin, dude.
And the quality you're getting out of Carmelo Anthony, what you're seeing out of LeBron, and Russell Westbrook just can't contribute.
The reason that this is happening is and this is what often happens to the Lakers and several teams who just throw things. This is what happened to the Celtics. You can't just throw a team together and think that they're gonna work. You know, injuries aside, obviously they've had a lot of injuries, but at some point there's got to be the core of the team's got to have some glue to it. You know, like Bron, bringing Bron in. Okay, I get it. You're the Lakers, makes sense. All right, cool. You know, bringing AD in. Okay, cool. Bron and AD and everybody else. I like that. That's why they won a championship, because you had Bron and AD leading the team and everybody else could just be in the background. When you brought Russ in, that messed the whole thing up. Now you got 3 instead of 2.
Yeah.
And your cap is screwed, so you can't make moves. That was a mistake, and they're going to fix that mistake.
Yeah, and you know what I think is hysterical is this guy Brian Maxwell on Twitter.
Oh, God, here we go.
The Knicks, as an organization, lack the assets to even pretend they could trade for Mitchell. The Knicks can't use other teams' assets even in a 3-team trade. Every trade participant will need value for their assets, value for value. There is no scenario where the Knicks can get Mitchell right now, 0. Like, I don't know what New York Knicks team you're talking about. If they have a water polo club that I'm unaware of, let me know. I mean, the Knicks, the lack of understanding among Jazz fans on how trades work is a little shocking. I mean, it is strictly, most times it is strictly a numbers game. When you're trying to move a guy like Donovan Mitchell and you're trying to get player for player or dollar for dollar value, that's likely not going to happen.
Listen, you can make any trade you want to make. Let's be clear on this. Anything can happen. You just have to match the numbers up. You just have to make things work.
If you are the New Orleans Pelicans and you're trading Zion Williamson, if you're the New Orleans Pelicans trading Anthony Davis, if you are, and think of any of the major trades that have happened, if you are the Brooklyn Nets trading for James Harden, what are you willing to give up? You were trading Ben Simmons. You held on and held on and held on. You had multiple deals available for Ben Simmons.
And you traded him to the Nets.
And you traded him to the Nets to get James Harden. Because that's the deal you thought you wanted to make.
Yeah.
And that's what this ultimately comes down to. If you're going to trade Rudy or Don, you're going to get the best deal you think you can get, period. Is that money? Is that players? Is that picks? It's probably a combination of that. But it is simply what you are willing to take back in return for Donovan Mitchell. And not understanding that 3 and 4 team trades happen in the summer on a regular basis. If you look at the Sacramento trade, the Halliburton deal, if you look at the Harden deals, multiple Harden deals, anybody can be traded.
Yeah.
Anybody can be traded. The Lakers have one of the worst contracts in the NBA right now in Russell Westbrook. And they had a deal for him.
After the street closed Davis.
And they had a deal for him. Anybody can be traded. It's just simply a matter of who's got the wherewithal to make the deal and who's going to win and who's going to lose.
Yep.
There's a sucker born every day.
Let's settle this right now.
Okay, a couple more, and then we need to get to Vegas, thinking that the Jazz are not very good. Cody Strickland, what do you mean it was? Golden State lost and Memphis lost and the Lakers lost. Right, but why is that a good day for the Jazz?
I don't understand the connection in that comment.
Yeah, the Jazz are not. So wait, so you're saying that the Jazz are chasing Golden State. I don't see. There's not a scenario in my mind where the Jazz catch the Suns or Golden State. There's just not.
Yeah, it's not
I mean,
happening.
I guess if you look at it, You could portend to say that they could catch Memphis, but they'd have to win these next 3 games. Would go a long way to them potentially getting back to the 4th spot. But I mean, you're 2.5 games behind Memphis. You're 3 games behind the Warriors, and you're 10.5 games behind the Suns. You're not I don't think you're catching the Suns or the Warriors.
No.
I mean,
it's too far, man. Come on.
The Warriors are 3-7 because they haven't been healthy. They still haven't had Clay and Dre back. And they just got Klay Thompson back last night. So, I mean, I just don't see how you win. The volume of games you would have to win, and you'd have to assume then that Memphis and Golden State just don't win many games down the stretch.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you're when you're playing, when you're at 63 games, what do you have, 19 games left?
Yep.
I mean, to make up 10.5 games in 19, the Suns would have to lose every game. Even to make up 3 games on Golden State, it's going to take a monumental outcome. And, I mean, even based on what we saw in Houston the other night, it's not likely that that's going to happen. I mean, You're going to New Orleans tonight. Then, you're back-to-back with tough games on Sunday and Monday. I don't know how
There's not room for it.
I don't know how that's realistic. And I'd love it to happen. I'd love to see the Jazz get to the number 1 spot, have home court advantage throughout the playoffs. That's just not going to happen. I'd love to see them, getting to the 3. You know, what does that put you with Denver? I'd frankly rather stay in the 4 and play Dallas. You know, so everybody gets all bonered over, we got to get to the 3. Let's get up to the 2nd spot. For what? For what? Right now, in the 2nd spot, you'd be playing the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
Is that a series you want right now?
No, it's not.
I don't think that's a series you want right now. I think out of the Nuggets, Timberwolves, and Mavericks, I'll take the Mavericks. With home court advantage, I'll take the Mavericks.
Yeah.
By the way, you only have a 2-game lead on Dallas, and you play them Monday.
Yeah.
It's just not the. That's why I'm saying, and Cody, I love your passion. I love everybody's passion about the Jazz. Think about what you're hoping they do. You're hoping that they go play the Denver Nuggets in the first round of the playoffs. You're hoping that they go play the Minnesota. You really want Minnesota in a 7-game series.
My fucking ass.
I mean, you probably win that series. But you really want to play with Minnesota, who's much better, and they have a guy in Karl Anthony Towns, and they have a guy in Anthony Edwards and Patrick Beverley, and
No, I'm good.
I'm not really looking for that series.
Yeah, I'm good.
Give me the Dallas Mavericks.
All right, let's get to these Vegas odds. We're running out of time here.
Okay, hit it. Vegas odds. Here, the Jazz are what, 7th?
The Jazz are the 7th favorite to win the odds. The teams above them in order. The Heat are 6th.
Are the Jazz better than the Miami Heat?
I think it's close.
I think the Heat are better. I think the Heat are better.
It's very close. Above the Heat, 2 spots above the Jazz is the Milwaukee Bucks. I think clearly the Bucks are better.
I would agree.
3 spots ahead of the Jazz, the 76ers.
I think the Sixers are the best team in the NBA right now.
Yeah, so I think they're better. The Nets are real interesting, dude. The Nets are a very interesting team because, if Kyrie's on the floor with Kevin, that's a different team, So which version are we getting? I think last night's Nets team is not better than the Jazz. I think Kyrie and Kevin together is better than the Jazz. So, and then, of course, you've got Golden State and Phoenix, which we just spent 20 minutes talking about how those teams are better.
Yeah. Cody Strickland says that Jazz are the 4th seed because they weren't healthy.
I'm so tired of this narrative.
Dude, nobody was healthy. Nobody is healthy.
Dude, the injuries...
The Golden State Warriors are missing arguably their most important player.
They didn't have Draymond or Clay for 70% of the season, and they're still better than you.
And by the way,
understand that?
You're one of the least impacted teams by COVID. You should have been making hay. It all equals out, man. It all equals out. I think the Sixers are the best team in my top 5 right now.
Mm-hmm.
The Sixers 1, I think the Heat are number 2 right now. I think the Suns are number 3. And then 4 or 5 is a real toss-up.
Memphis has to be there.
I think Memphis, I want to put Memphis 5. But I also think, like, look at Milwaukee. The problem is I don't know what Golden State is.
I do.
If Dre and Clay are healthy and playing, I think they're probably that 4th team.
Yeah. No, I think everyone's underrating the Warriors. I think the Warriors are biding time. Remember, see again, the Warriors have been here before. The Warriors have the postseason experience. Those 3 together will play well. I'm not worried about it. They have the chemistry to step right back on the floor. They're not like the Nets or the Sixers where they got to build chemistry. They're fine.
Yeah, I think when you look at who the Warriors haven't had and the importance of Draymond Green to that team, I think when you look at, like, the Bulls are really interesting. You know, when you look at playoff series and what a team does in a playoff series, the Dallas Mavericks, the reason I like the Mavericks matchup so much more than Denver is I think that Dallas is going to play slow, plodding basketball. That's not a team, even with Dorian Finney-Smith or, Dwight Powell jumps out of the gym, but Rudy Gobert should be effective in a series against Dallas.
So the Bulls are the 11th and Dallas is 12th.
I think in the regular season, that makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
In a series, though, I don't think the Bulls are physical enough to beat almost anybody in a series. I think that Dallas is just too damn slow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why the Jazz would I don't want anything to do with Denver. If it's true that Jamal Murray and MPJ are coming back, I want nothing to do with that.
Yeah, I'm good.
I look at Minnesota, and I know that Minnesota is vastly underrated by most people. And people just look at the numbers and they're like, oh, look where they are in the standings, Dick. And it's like, well, yeah, but look where Houston is in the standings. And I got to tell you, I don't know how. And it's probably because, I just have no life. I watch a lot of Timberwolves basketball.
Yeah, I mean, they're fun. They're a fun team to watch.
And I look at their win at Golden State the other night.
At Golden State, you won.
I'm sorry. That was at Minnesota, my bad. Against Golden State the other night. And I look at the game that they got from D'Angelo Russell.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I want nothing to do with that team. Like 22 points from D'Angelo with only 2 rebounds and 3 dimes. 15 points. Excuse me, my bad. 22 points, 7 dimes, 2 steals, 3 rebounds from D'Angelo Russell. Patrick Beverley only plays 22 minutes, scores 10 points, 7 dimes in 22 minutes. And they get 20 from Malik Beasley off the bench. Taurean Prince gives him 11. Oh, by the way, we haven't even talked about Karl Anthony Towns going 39 and 9.
Facts.
I want nothing to do with Minnesota if I'm the Utah Jazz.
Oh.
That is a fast, up and down, 3-point shooting, piss you off defensive team.
Keep it real.
And Karl Anthony Towns is that dude. He is not going to take just a moment. He's not even going to take a glance from Rudy Gobert. So, yeah, I said it. I'll take Dallas over Denver and Minnesota.
Yeah.
If I'm the Utah Jazz, to hell with that matchup.
Yeah.
I just am not interested in that. All right.
Okay.
54 minutes of power.
Yeah. Power.
I watch a lot of Timberwolves basketball. Equals, I'll take things I'll never say for 500. Jeremy Bolton says, true. Absolutely true. Cody Strickland says, I'm not trying to be a casual, Monty.
You're casual.
But the Jazz was number 1 team in the league, both standings and power rankings in Vegas until the week they got COVID. Okay.
That might be true.
Cody and every other Jazz fan, what does the regular season mean in the postseason?
What the fuck does one thing have to do with the other?
It doesn't mean anything.
Number 1 seed bounced in the second round.
It doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. You look at the NBA playoffs come down to matchups inside of a series and winning matchups in that series. Who wins, Karl Anthony Towns or Rudy Gobert? Well, I'm gonna tell you that it's Karl Anthony Towns, because Karl Anthony Towns is a shot blocker. Like I look at Memphis in the Jazz. You want to know why you don't want the Memphis Grizzlies? Because Jaren Jackson Jr. is the third best shot blocker in the league, and their help defense. Like, the other thing that people were on me about yesterday was the Memphis Grizzlies. Oh, they suck. Look at how bad they were last year. Hey, man, like, that's cool. I get it.
That's last year.
That was last year. Do you not see how much better John Morant is this year?
You're so fucked.
Do you not see Desmond Bane? Do you not understand they've been without Dylan Brooks, and they're still elite? How do you match up with that team's athletic ability in a 7-game series?
Who picks up Ja?
On their own. By the way, which 3 Jazz men are going to pick up Ja? And then who's going to defend the three-point line? Because they regularly break the paint to kick to the three-point line.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you understand that John Morant's stated goal in life is to dunk on Rudy Gobert?
I want it.
The playoffs are all about matchups. All you got to do is get in. Just get in. The 1-8 matchup is going to be a dogfight in this league.
Yes, it
is.
And
I'm sorry, man. I understand that you guys want to point to postseason and regular season and, man, but we were number 1 in January. Who gives a fuck about January when it's June, man? Like, I don't understand. Like, and we got so much heat for the Clippers series last year. So much heat. Oh, are you seeing Paul George's head?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, and all the Clippers did was exactly what we said they would do.
It vexes me.
Because it's a 7-game series where you have to win the matchups in the series.
Yep.
So you have to get Rudy Gobert out of the paint. How do you do that? Well, you switch on the pick and roll. Well, the problem is when you switch on the pick and roll with the Minnesota Timberwolves, you're talking about Karl Anthony Towns. Okay, well, who's big enough to defend him on the block? Well, it doesn't matter because he wants to shoot threes out of the pick and roll.
Is this the dagger?
Okay, so then Memphis. Okay, we're going to pull, because let's all agree, right? Let's just agree on this. The Jazz' biggest weakness is Rudy Gobert's defense in the playoffs.
That's pretty much self-explanatory.
That's their biggest weakness. So, okay, let's pretend that they wind up with Memphis.
Dude.
They're going to pick and roll with Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bane.
Yeah.
And you're going to wind up with Desmond Bane being checked by Rudy Gobert and somebody's brother being checked on Jaren Jackson Jr.
We're getting somewhere.
And he's developed the ability now to pump fake out of that 3. And what they usually do in those switches is they give it to him. If Jaren Jackson's not open for a 3, they're going to do a dribble handoff to Ja. And now my question is, where's Rudy Gobert? Oh, well, Monty, he'd be back in the paint defending the rim. Okay, well, then who the fuck is watching Desmond Bane in the corner? Because Desmond Bane's knocking the 3 down at a pretty good rate.
You're fucking awesome today.
But I'm serious. Like, this is...
quote, who the fuck is watching Desmond Bane in the corner?
Like, if you look at Desmond Bane's numbers.
Yeah, who was watching Terrence Mann? Nobody.
Yeah, Rudy watching him dunk. But like, this is the way you have to look at playoff series, because teams are all about their tendencies.
Yeah.
The Utah Jazz, their tendency is exactly what happened. Guy, do you understand that Clippers series was almost a year ago?
Still talking about it.
And why are we talking about it? You did the exact same thing against Houston a year later that you were doing against the Clippers defensively.
Makes me want to puke.
So I'm just saying, bro, like when you look at Desmond Bane, okay, and it's just the matchup thing. So Desmond Bane, do you have any idea what somebody in the comments, guess what Desmond Bane shoots from 3?
I don't know the number. I'm going to take a guess, too. I'm saying it's 37%.
How about 41.3% from 3?
Jesus.
How about Desmond Bane shooting?
What's up, motherfuckers?
41% from 3.
How many, do you still have the stats up? Does it tell you how many attempts that's on?
I'm going to tell you right now. Second-year player Desmond Bane. Yeah, they don't improve. They sucked last year.
Yeah, right.
Idiot. He's shooting 7 threes a game.
Jesus. Dude, what is that? 4.5-ish? Three
out of 7 a game. And this was the argument on Twitter yesterday about what's his name, the center in Houston, Christian Wood. Well, Christian Wood, that was a fluky shot. Oh, it's a fluky shot? Do you know he shoots 38% from 3 on the season?
Well, get your facts straight.
Well, Rudy, he was knocked off. It was like this guy on Twitter yesterday is like, it was an offensive foul on Kevin Porter. Rudy wasn't backpedaling. He was pushed off balance.
Oh, please.
No, he wasn't. So I tweet the video at him.
Please.
Right, because I have the video on my phone.
Right.
Rudy's backpedaling. Oh, well, you're not going to respect Christian Wood. That's a once-in-a-lifetime shot.
No, it's not. Dude,
it's not.
Get the hell out of here.
He had an open look. On a guy that shoots 38% from 3, you're going to leave him open? Anyway, that's my point.
I still want to go back to who the fuck is watching Desmond Bane in the corner. That's an all-time line, dude.
You knew, and Cody says, actually, Monty, you said Jazz in 6 over the Clips. I did say that. But what did we tell you? That series was going to go all the way down to the wire. And you just knew that the mobility and the athletic ability of the LA Clippers was going to be a problem. And even after Kawhi got hurt, like the Luke Kennard explosion is what really bothers you about that series. Paul George is a star. He's going to get his.
He's always going to get buckets.
But the problem was that you had Ivica Zubac kicking out to a wide open Luke Kennard, and people are like, well, I'd rather have Luke Kennard beat you.
It's not the best situation, and we all know that.
Repeatedly. And Terrence Mann, because anyway, look, if you want to die on the fucking, if you want to die on the Memphis, if you want to die on the anybody but Dallas hill, go for it. You want to die on the Timberwolves hill? Patrick Beverley will walk all over you for it. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, die on those hills. I'll take the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
Sorry if you're offended by that.
They're a team that's slow. Their superstars are not quick. He couldn't beat Rudy Gobert to the basket.
You can handle them.
There's matchups there. You're gonna win. You're better.
You can handle them.
Bojan Bogdanovic can play in that series.
Yeah.
Mike Conley. They don't have a point guard that's better than Mike Conley.
Bogey or Tim Hardaway?
I'm probably taking Bogey. Like Brunson is an issue for Mike Conley, but Mike can hang in that series. The problem is that Mike can't finish in the paint right now, or hasn't shown the ability to do so consistently.
Yeah, it's been a rough year for
but
him.
He can still shoot the 3, and he can still run the pick and roll at an elite level with Rudy Gobert. Mm-hmm. The problem is Powell can jump out of the gym. Powell's the guy that has to play really well. Powell would have to play really well for Dallas to win that series.
Yeah.
Because Luka is going to be the Paul George of that series, right? Like he's going to get his.
Well, the difference is they don't have Kawhi to go with Luka.
Exactly right. But they also don't have the Terrence Manns or the, Dorian Finney-Smith is a hell of a player. Is he hitting the fadeaway corner 3? I don't know. We'll see. Cody, you're not wrong. We just disagree.
Is this the dagger?
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Yeah. Right? I mean, it is what it is. All right, should we talk about stupid dog names or do the pissed off thing?
No, let's do the pissed off thing because we're running out of time here.
All right, new segment on Fridays that we're going to do for you. We want to hear about the pet peeves in your life.
I want
the
you
things
to
that
come
upset
into
you.
here. Come into the comments and bitch about your life. What's upsetting you this
Please
week?
do.
Like what is the issue this week? Because this week's been quite the week. So would you like to begin?
It really has. It really has.
Where to begin?
Spotify yesterday. Because Spotify kind of exemplifies this entire week. On a day-to-day basis, and I'll even go as far as to say for 364 consecutive days.
Yeah.
You just put the podcast on the RSS feed and everybody's happy.
Here, take it. See ya.
It's good to go. Right? Yesterday, put the podcast on the RSS feed. Hey, we're good at Apple iTunes. They do a lot of business for us.
Right. Uh-huh.
We're good at iHeartMedia. They do a lot of business for us.
Right.
We're good at Stitcher Radio. They do a lot of business for us.
Right. Yeah.
But who's our number one? Spotify is our number one.
Well, it all worked out, didn't it?
No, because for some reason the RSS feed didn't supply a show to Spotify.
That's what fucking ticks me the fuck off.
And I'm sorry, I made the mistake of saying call, because you can't call anybody anymore. So You email support at Spotify, and they're like, oh, it's a SoundCloud problem because SoundCloud provides our RSS feed. You call, oh, I'm sorry, you can't call anybody. So you email Spotify, or you email SoundCloud. Do they answer? Do they answer?
Nope.
No. You know why? Because they're in fucking Germany. So they answered at 3 a.m. And whatever was whatever, somebody figured out, hey, got to plug in the Monty Show, plug over here.
Yeah.
338 or whatever it was. Bing!
Dicks.
Spotify says there's a new Monty Show available.
What a joke, dude. Come on.
That happened to me with Google yesterday, Spotify, the internet thing.
The internet thing's a perfect example.
The internet thing. The internet works. 9 days out of 50, the internet from CenturyLink works fine.
Right.
So you call a guy, he shows up on time.
This guy.
On time, rips my utility room apart, puts in a whole new internet infrastructure, takes CenturyLink out of the way, and what do you know? The internet works just fine. You call
It's quite simple, so I don't know why motherfuckers be overcomplicated.
Call CenturyLink, and they're like, yeah, it sounds like a you problem. No, our internet's fine. It's really fast. So you find out you're paying for unlimited gigabyte.
Yeah.
Not the way it works. Turns out you're getting like 200 meg most of the time on your 1 gig. So, you're using dial-up speeds. And then one other thing that pisses me off.
Yeah.
Why do we not care about each other?
Oh, boy.
Why do we not care about each other? It drives me crazy that I wear a mask into Chipotle a couple of days ago, and some guy is all upset, like staring at me, and I go to the gym occasionally, and some guy will come up to me and be like, hey, can I ask you a question?
Coronavirus.
And I got to be like, no, fuck off. And then it's like, fucking Mr. Prostate in L.A., Dennis. Why do we not care about each other? Why do we cut people off in traffic? Why do we flip people off? Why do we yell and scream at people?
Because we're selfish. We're selfish. We only care about us. We only care about perception and what people think.
It's just not where life is lived.
Yeah.
And so it drives me crazy.
We're too busy, shelling nuclear plants in Ukraine to care about other people.
So this perfect point. The Russians are trying to destroy the Ukrainians' largest nuclear plant. And on TV in Russia, the state-run media is telling them that it's a defensive operation and that the Ukrainians were going to attack us here in Russia. They're telling the kids in their schools and on TV, well, the Ukrainians are the bad guys. They were coming for us, so we had to go defend ourselves. That's what they're telling the kids in Russia.
Such a joke, dude.
Dangerous misinformation.
And then you got this guy, Zelensky, who has survived 3 assassination attempts this week. They're bombing apartment buildings, and they're targeting Jews in Ukraine. And people, it just drives me crazy. It just drives me crazy. Anyway, your pet peeve, sir.
Man, I think the mask one is definitely on point. I think one of my pet peeves right now is that my Apple Watch dies constantly. It's so annoying to me that I have to charge my Apple Watch every day.
Well,
it bugs the hell out of me.
I would agree with that.
It's annoying, and I don't want to get a new Apple Watch. I'm not in the mood to get a new Apple Watch. Not really wanting to. Like, it's just not my thing. I like my Apple Watch, but I wish the battery lasted longer. That's number one. Number two, I wish the weather would be a little more consistent. Yesterday, it was 60 degrees out. Do we all realize that? It was 60 degrees out in Salt Lake in March. But then this weekend, we're going to get snow. This is what's happening. The whole global warming thing is a problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem, And then, I don't know, what's another? I mean, the internet thing was what pissed me off this week. I was so upset. What was it, Tuesday? When the show just dropped. Like, the show just turned off.
Out of nowhere.
Just out of nowhere, just turned off.
And it is, and this is why I say, I'd love to hear your pet peeves.
Yeah, what are some of your guys' pet peeves?
Just unload them in the comments.
Let's hear some of them.
What are the things you deal with on a daily basis that annoy you? There's no doubt. There is no doubt in my mind that companies like CenturyLink take us for granted.
Yeah.
Companies like
Verizon.
Spotify and SoundCloud take us for granted. Companies like Apple take us for granted. James Knight said, I wish my penis was a little longer, but hey, we don't always get what we want. LOL. Giggity says, fucking HOAs. Amen to that.
Hey, there you go.
Oh,
See?
my God.
See?
Yes.
See?
Cody Strickland says that the sausage McMuffin and breakfast burrito are now $1.29 at McDonald's, and no one is talking about it. Bro, the sausage.
What was it before?
Let me just point this out. The sausage McMuffin with egg is the greatest breakfast sandwich ever. Only second to the extreme sausage sandwich at Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what pisses me off. There's no Jack in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Yet.
And what really pisses me off is I can't get one.
Yeah.
Forrest G says, Jake, buy an automatic watch and put it on your right hand. It will run forever. You'll constantly be winding it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Women winning in divorce. Well, that comment got filtered.
Wow.
Women winning in divorces. Dude, divorce court is and will always be in favor of women. And in some ways it should.
Yeah.
Listen, if we're talking about child support and okay, cool. If a woman gave up her career and 20 years later you were banging your secretary, there's a price to be paid for.
Daddy?
We almost made it. We almost made it. Plenty of Jacks in Salt Lake, just no Jack in the boxes.
Right,
Truth,
right.
Giggity. Truth.
Right.
No, Fat Jesus, I am not going to read that comment. I am not. But divorce court is always slanted in favor of the women. And like I said, in a lot of cases it should be.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of cases it shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, if you don't have a prenup, if you have anything of value when you get married, don't be stupid. Get a prenup. But it'll hurt her feelings.
Well, that's life.
Yeah, that is what it is. Ask Adele about a prenup. Go research Adele's
Kim
divorce.
K and Kanye.
Yeah, Kim K and Kanye.
She's officially a single woman.
By the way, what were you thinking marrying Ye, man? His name is Ye, by the way. It's no longer Kanye.
Yeah,
he legally
casual.
had to change to Ye. So can we please respect the man's privacy? Hello.
Hello.
What were you thinking? You've got that big old booty. You're worth trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
So you married Kanye West?
Yeah.
How is that going to work out ever?
I don't know.
What do you I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. So that drives me crazy. I sense Mrs. Monty is about to pick up the mic, James Knight says. Tanner says that was going to make a political comment, but I don't want to get canceled again. Jeremy Bolton says, Cafe Rio giving me soggy-ass tortillas every time these days. Cafe Rio is the Caruso of restaurants now. Well, I'm telling you, Mrs. Monty is only allowing me to eat Chipotle. She will not allow me to eat a Cafe Rio anymore.
Good.
So, I'm just a methane factory over here. It drives me crazy that I order Chipotle and I get the tortilla. I structure my calories. I'm trying to stay at 2,499 calories or less. So 2,500 calories a day. Yesterday, I walked right up to the line of like 2,480 something. I ordered a Chipotle vegan burrito essentially with queso on it.
So not vegan.
So not vegan. But I like all the other stuff they put in there.
Vegetarian.
Yeah, I'm not eating meat right now.
Yeah, so vegetarian.
So vegetarian. But I ordered the vegan burrito. They have a vegan burrito. And then I just added queso to it.
Okay.
So I wrecked it from being vegan.
Right, yeah.
But anyway, my point is
that
they didn't wrap it.
Like, yeah, their wrapping game is weak at that Chipotle.
My wife brings me the burrito, and she's like, she sets it down on my desk, and she's like, I want you to know this feels very loose. It feels very loose. So I open the burrito, and it's because half the burrito is open.
Yeah, see, you gotta go with the bowl, dude. So go with the bowl and get the tortilla on the side.
So you pay for the queso that's leaked out all over the foil wrap.
Yeah. Yep.
Pricks.
Yeah, dude.
Anyway. Ruff's official.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Remember when Biden extorted Ukraine to stop investigating his crackhead son? Instead got $80K a month spot on the energy company? I don't remember that.
Here we go.
Tanner says Zelensky's a legend. James, Tanner, I was going to get you got to do it, Tanner. Say the political comment.
Yeah, just do it already.
Cody Strickland says, I make $34 an hour, and it's not a lot of money to live these days. Amen to that.
Dude.
Mrs. Monty and I were talking about this on the couch last night. She went and got me a towel because I was nude and I was sweating all over the leather.
Daddy?
But we were sitting on the couch talking about how the labor force has changed.
Oh, man.
And that tech jobs are plentiful and that they're competing by paying outrageous salaries. And what's happened is the salaries have gone up, so the consumer cost index and inflation have gone up. And I just don't know where it ends.
It doesn't.
I don't know where it ends either, but fake news on the naked sweating on the couch. Just saying.
What?
Like.
What do you mean?
No, but I will with your wife.
What do you mean?
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Okay.
But I actually was thinking about this yesterday when I went to go pick up our lunch. Was that like a living wage now? I mean, it's got to be like, I was like, if you're not paying somebody at least $20 an hour, and I thought about this because I saw these landscapers and there was some guys I thought, it's not who you typically think you would see as a landscaper. And I thought, maybe they're paying. And I was like, I know people are having to pay more. Construction, landscaping, they're all having to pay more. So maybe,
anything labor is getting paid much more now.
But the people who are making below $20 an hour, I don't even know how you survive. Like,
not right now.
And I know people do it, and that's really, really rough. But I just don't understand how we think that anything under $20 an hour is a living wage. It's not.
Cody said, I bring home to the house around $8,000 a month, and after taxes and expenses, just not a lot left. It's BS. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the money that I make, and I'm not going to tell you what I make, because it's none of your business, you grubby money.
Keep it real.
Anyway,
okay.
Annie, that was probably too much.
Yeah.
I make a really good living at Yelp, right? But the taxes,
and our taxes are not bad here in Utah.
And they're outrageous.
Unless you're a single guy.
And unless you're a single guy who owns no property and has really no deductions. Yeah.
Sorry if you're offended by that.
Good luck. But it's outrageous. The money that I give, and I fully contribute to my 401k. I have a Roth I contribute to. I have a separate investment account that we contribute to. I have an E-Trade.
Yeah, but those are after tax. Your
Right,
Roth
but
and your E-Trade.
I'm trying to offset as much as I can.
But that doesn't offset your taxes.
There's no way
Investing
to
in stocks does not.
But my Roth does, and my IRA does. My 401k does.
Yes.
Yeah,
401k is pre-tax.
But the stuff you're trying to do to make money, where you're putting, like I have like stock at work, like all these places I'm trying to grow my money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have to grow it exponentially more because everything is more. We're paying $22 for a burrito bowl and a burrito at Chipotle.
Yep.
And I don't even get the guac.
Yep.
And I'm still paying $22.
Yeah.
It's outrageous. Gas in California is $5.59.
Yeah, that's gnarly.
You're not making money. You're not. Like Ruff's official, I don't know what you said. I'm going to guess you went political again because your comment got filtered. Monty earns $1 million.
Ha! Not.
Jeez, I wish. I'd have a Jack in the Box.
Right.
Eric C says, try living in Cali, Cody. Love it here, but can't wait to move out of the state one day. Ding.
That's why we left. I mean, we knew we were never going to be able to buy a home in California. And the first time that we moved to Utah, we bought our first home.
I don't know that the money we make now, and we've never made more money than we make now as a couple. Well, I don't think we could live comfortably in LA. I don't think we could live the life we want to live and work for ourselves and be independent, making the money we're making now.
We'd be house poor. That's the problem.
Yeah, you're paying $1 million for a house.
And not a good house. Mm-mm. You're paying $1 million for a 1,400 square foot 1950s home in Westminster, which is not bad. It's good. It's only 10 minutes to the beach.
Yeah.
But your neighbors have chairs on their driveway because they also have like 3 generations of family living in the home because they're all trying to afford this $1 million home that's really not that nice.
I just don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know where all this ends. But it's funny. Everybody's saying first world problems. I don't know that it's first world problems anymore because everything is so expensive. Have you tried to buy a car lately? Like, have you tried to buy groceries lately? We went to the store the other night and I was sitting there paying the bill thinking to myself, dude, what did we buy for $84? Like, what did we buy for it? We bought fruit and cereal and it was $84.
Mm-hmm.
It is first world problems, though. Let's not mistake that. We are not.
But not as
We're
it
not
has always been.
pooping outside. We are not like.
Sure, but
we,
how many?
we can actually buy that food where some people are in food islands where they can't get much food. Like we have first world problems, but I do think that there's some sort of collapse, whether that is. I mean, climate change is real. I don't know if you guys saw that timeline where like they said that there's a section that's like, we've been telling you about this, we're seeing the results, and then there's like, oops, and then there's too late, and it's like, we're at the oops, like, oh, oops, we didn't pay attention to what you're telling us, and now we're almost too late. They're predicting catastrophic fires and droughts for the West.
Yeah.
Australia is flooding more than in 1,000 years.
And it's scary flooding.
Hey, kids. We're gonna have to do something.
Eric C. says Utah would be the dream state for me. All 4 seasons, great outdoors, nice people in the Jazz.
Yeah, except
now it's New California.
Our winter season is starting to go away more and more.
Yep.
It's getting hotter and hotter in the summertime. Like, yeah, ideal. I love it here because of that.
The quality of air in the valley is brutal.
We get another fire season like last year, our summers are going to suck again. Like, because we can't even breathe outside.
Yeah, the fires in Idaho were terrible last year.
It's very depressing.
It is.
Anyways.
Anyway, well, thanks for coming to the show, Butthole.
Yeah, this is real great.
Last time we're ever having you on.
Right. Voice the reason.
Good Lord.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. My in-laws live in Sunnyvale, California, 1,200 square foot condo, and they could easily sell it for $1.3 million.
It's ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, you could.
Yep. Tell Mrs. Monty that I poop outside sometimes, Cody Strickland said. I would if I could.
Cody, no, just don't do that.
And Garcia says I'd trade the mountains for ocean or lake view any day. It was great going to going to the beach last week, taking the dogs to the dog beach.
Yeah.
Taking a 2-mile walk down the shore. That was not bad.
Yeah.
But you can't live in SoCal right now. You can't live in California, period. And I don't know that changes in my lifetime. I don't think it will.
No.
I really don't. And that's why I'm telling you, man, stop collecting paychecks and start working for yourself. You got to get to a point where you are not working for the man. Because until you build generational wealth, you're never going to be secure. You're not. It's just the way the world works right now, that you have to get to a point where you're making enough money in your daily job to put some away to do what you want to do. Because we all get caught up in this thing. We're like, well, I don't want to go to work. Okay, well, then fucking be homeless.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't work like that. If you'll just grow up and recognize that you have to go to work, put some money aside, stop buying Jordans every Friday and the shoe drops, right? Put some money aside and go chase something.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, it's not as far as you think it is. And anymore, the problem now is that paychecks are very attractive because so many people are paying outrageous amounts of money for work that used to be, damn near minimum wage. And the minimum wage, most people, I would think most minimum wage jobs are now $15 an hour or close to it. Because if you're not paying that at a minimum, at a baseline, you're not getting people.
Even if the federal minimum wage is not 15, I think that. Are you okay?
Almost dropped my microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the federal minimum wage, I don't remember what it is now, but.
Stupid low. But even if that's not it, if you're not paying at least 15.
You're not getting anybody.
You're just not going to be able to get.
Because the high school kid's not working at McDonald's anymore.
Nope.
It is really, and we're trying to open up a business. And I'm telling you, one of the things I worry about is labor.
Yep.
Because you're going to have to pay a whole lot of money. And at some point, this labor market will come to a crashing halt. Because I think there's going to be, I don't know, this Russia thing. And we can all joke about Russia and Ukraine and Biden's kid and, the tangerine Twitter machine and what we can all joke about that. Mm-hmm. It's not a joke anymore.
Nope.
Like Donald Trump withholding military aid from Ukraine for 4 years, essentially, has become a problem right now. And you look at what's going on in Ukraine. If the Russians had breached that reactor, you turned on the TV this morning and the headline was that the Russians were shooting at a nuclear reactor, the largest nuclear-powered plant in Ukraine. And it was on fire because the Russians had fired munitions at it.
This is a code 10 abort.
That's the world we're living in. So if you think this is funny, it's not. And I'm telling you, you could flip on the TV right now today. I'm waiting for the catastrophe in Ukraine to turn into a world war. Because at some point, somebody's going to have to do something.
Yeah.
Because you've crippled. This is the Dark Knight line. Did you really think that you were going to go and cripple the richest people in the world and Russian oligarchs and Vladimir Putin? Did you really think there weren't going to be repercussions for that? Did you really think they weren't going to push back?
Mm-hmm.
You're taking their yachts and their villas and their money.
There's hits out on Putin from the oligarchs.
But are you kidding me that you think that he wasn't going to... He doesn't give a shit about that power plant. He went through Chernobyl already. This is not like... Vladimir Putin's not like been in power 5 years. This guy's been a lifelong American-hating Russian asset. And you're telling me that you think you're going to take that guy's money and cripple his economy, which the world effectively has, and you think he's just going to lay down and pull out of Ukraine and we're all going to give him his money back? Mm-mm. That's not how this fucking thing works.
No.
Like do you understand that like Norway and Switzerland are trying to get into the EU now? Like they've applied because they're terrified. What are we doing? This is where the world's going. So if you're just waiting and hoping, I don't know what you're waiting for, but it might not be there at the end when you're done. So anyway, there's my piece.
Okay, good. Good.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
Glad I could bring a rain cloud to your world today.
It's going to rain today.
It is going to rain today, and hopefully it snows too. I hope it snows. A couple more, then we got to go. Got to go. Have a great weekend, everyone. Go Jazz, Eric says. Working 8 to 10 hours for the man, or work 12 to 14 hours as your own boss. Most don't want to work the extra 4 hours per day. That's probably true.
Yeah.
And Garcia says, when I sell my home or give it to my child plus life insurance, the start of a generational wealth. How long is your home going to be worth that? If the world economy collapses in World War III, how much is your house worth? I have $200,000 in equity in my house right now today. I'm not counting on that being there a year from now. I'm really not. I'm just not. Kay Nurin says, yes, just wait. Didn't we get enough rain and snow this winter? More fires. Better hope we get way more rain and snow.
Get enough. No.
Putin only attacks Ukraine when liberals are running things.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Monty, you should join the climate change scientists because we all know how much you love telling people I told you so. I really probably should. You can play the music. Wow. We get no money. We got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off.
Okay.
Well, I hope you all have a good weekend.
Yeah, wow, this has been really good.
Find me on the mountain, Jeremy Bolton. Are you snowboarding this weekend?
Hey.
Hey. You know, let's go, let's go have some fun this weekend. Be well. Appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for listening on Spotify. Until Monday, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.